Happy New Year, everyone. It's good to be back, and you're joining me, Oliver Brown, for another session of Two Mugs in Coffee. It's Wednesday, the 12th of January, and we're excited to be back. We're excited to be joined again by Stephen Bannister. Steve, welcome. It's good to have you with us.
Hi, Ollie, and hello to all our friends, family, and lovers of coffee. Definitely happy New Year to you all. Hopefully you managed to have an enjoyable Christmas, have an enjoyable New Year's break, stay hopefully away from the dreaded sea, and are all safe and sound as well.
Thanks, Steve. Now, today is the end of Two Mugs as we know it. We've really enjoyed the experiment so far in the year from last year, but I think Steve and I have realized that it's time to evolve what we're doing, and the aim is to draw a line under our Two Mugs video cast and move towards a podcast style of recording each week. Steve, give us a bit of an idea of your benefits as well, because I know I'm certainly keen on making a little bit more easier to consume.
Yeah, thanks, Ollie. I think this is again an idea that we've been talking about how do we reach more people and how do we make what we're saying easier to access. And I think video has been a really fun learning experiment for us to connect with everyone. Whereas I think podcasts will enable us to just be a bit more freely sort of listened to, digested, commented back on. And really, we see that as an improvement in the evolution of how we communicate to you all. So I think definitely excited to take everything we've learned over the current YouTube time and plow that into developing more of an audio podcast style that can be listened to whenever, wherever you are.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. The idea that you can just have it on the background, not have to worry too much about the visual is a big positive.
Definitely. So this, as Ollie said, this will probably be our last video. I think though, still stay tuned and stay subscribed to the Condesa YouTube channel, as we will be looking to do more of our Windows to Origin series throughout this year. We have at least one video planned per month that we're going to record with different origins, and please as those come through our social media feeds, then you'll be able to suggest some questions that you would like to ask as well. So there'll still be video coming. It'll probably be more relevant to what's happening at Origin and connecting our Origin partners, which Ollie and I are always proud to empower. And we will bravely venture into the podcast realm to keep you updated from our side.
Yeah, definitely. I really enjoyed a recent conversation we had with Alejo Castro from Costa Rica, where he was in the farm and taking us around on video his trees, and I thought that's a wonderful reason to keep that Windows to Origin, literally Windows to Origin. So yeah, agreed. Right, so onto the subject at hand, the new year, the C market, what we can expect from the week, the month ahead. We had a bit of a break, and it looked like the C market was sort of coming back to us. It was weakening a bit. We were seeing lower pricing, but that has changed again. We're now back up to 237.05 today. What's going on, Steve? Where are we at, at the moment, and where do we think things are going to be going, at least for this week and the month ahead?
Well, excellent question, Ollie. I think we saw a very volatile December month where we ended up actually closing down about 7 cents, although it felt like we did create new highs at the same time around 250 and closing really around that low figure in the low 220s. We didn't really ever challenge the current sort of bearish, no, not bearish, bullish channel that is going upwards. And I think the sentiment surrounding the origins is still the same message, where we're seeing a potentially lower Brazilian crop. We're still trying to figure out what has happened from the fruit setting on the trees and how it's going to mature. We've actually seen a lot of rain in Brazil. We've seen floods in certain areas, although not quite maybe in the coffee areas so much. So we've definitely got a lot of tails still happening. We're seeing harvest coming through in Colombia. We're seeing devaluation in the Colombian peso, though. Prices not really changing much out of Colombia, but the significant high C market is really making that quite challenging for roasters to reset, as we've spoken about numerous times. So I think there hasn't been a lot of change to the message that we've been speaking about. We probably saw really a lack of people actually buying and selling on the exchanges through the last 2 weeks of December, which probably caused the lull or the low. What we're seeing now in the first week almost is a quite volatile thing, where people are seeing, okay, versus 230 or 250, that's a good price. I'm coming in, I'm going to buy that market price below 230, and we saw that was quickly snapped up by 2 pretty aggressive days on the exchange last week. We're now really just trying to find our feet again. People are coming back to work. People are working out, do I open? Do I not open? Do I have enough staff to open? What's the supply chain situation like, getting coffee to my customers? So there's many questions going on at the moment that people are trying to figure out. I think the rhetoric for the coffee market itself, though, is that we're honestly still in this sort of bullish upwards momentum of the market. While we've come low, we haven't broken to the downside of any of those movements or lines or studies. So I tend to think that at the moment it's still a very bullish market, with, again, 20-cent volatility each way in a week potentially. So that adage of, if you see a price you like, almost you have to make the decision on the day, I think, and be, again, willing and prepared to sort of draw a line in the sand and have the ability within your teams to make quick decisions.
Are we seeing also an impact from the global Omicron outbreak? Is that putting is that going to have do you feel that's going to have any impact on the fact that we are in this sort of, like as you said, we're slap bang in the middle of this bearish sort of bullish channel up? Is the Omicron going to be enough of a break on that, or you don't feel that's already factored in?
I think to a certain extent it's still factored in, because we haven't had a long enough period of coming out of normality after a non-COVID situation. I think we've always had COVID, whether it's in a European, a US, or an Asia-Pacific economy, still present in some form. It's been petering out, but it hasn't necessarily gone away. And the reemergence makes demand really hard to understand again. As people's movements shrink, change, consumption models change back to potentially at-home models or takeaway models again. And I think the flip side, though, is our markets are still inverted. There's still a higher price on the nearby than the far.
Yeah.
So that's telling us that supply chain and supply is still really struggling. People would rather buy up to have coffee now than wait, because waiting or being delivered coffee later, they don't know when that will arrive.
Yeah.
So we're still seeing big challenges in logistics, I think, and internally in Australia now, the supply chain is being challenged as we're seeing news articles about certain items on supermarket shelves running out or being panic bought again. So yeah, I think Omicron is here. I think Omicron is very hard to understand its impact on demand, but people are still waking up. They're wanting to have their morning coffee. They're still going to consume in some form or another. And yeah, it's just a slow game until we really understand how do we combat 2022 and the effects of Omicron, and potentially what is even the next horizon. If we take cues from history and the Spanish flu, that was 3 waves over 3 years. So we're almost into wave 3 now.
Yeah.
Could this slow? Could it keep evolving like the flu? I mean, we're now going into the year of the booster shot. And I think, it's day by day at the moment.
And you know, the other big factor to play into all of this is, you know, obviously the Aussie economy, the Aussie dollar versus the US dollar. We're at 0.72 today. You know, do we see it sort of hovering around these levels? You know, I mean, the US dollar's, you know, getting stronger. What do we see the Aussie dollar doing sort of short term? I know it's the only thing you can look at.
Yeah, I think interest rates are going to be the key driver for any currency for the next year ahead. We saw movements recently into US dollar strength or US dollar appreciation because potentially they were flagging to move interest rates sooner than expected. However, I still feel we have a big 2-tier economy, and I think the government will be very reluctant to move on interest rates or penalize people with higher interest rates, given the heat in the housing market where a lot of debt exists, and also given the uncertainty of if people are again going back to a reduced work capacity because of the COVID isolation situation, how we're doing it. We've got to think today, if there's 100,000, 50,000 cases a day in Australia, that means that there's 50,000 or 100,000 people plus every other person for the last 7 days that is isolating from the working environment. So we could be running at 10% of our working people currently off because of an isolation event over the last 7 to 14 days, which is already putting huge constraints on things. And I think if we throw interest rate hikes into the mix, it's going to be challenging. Why do we need to put interest rate? I think they want to calm the inflationary aspects of what's happening to a number of products. But it's really hard to know what the Reserve Bank will do. I feel more or less we're probably going to hover around 70 to 75, depending on a number of situations and macro things happening to other currencies as well. But yeah, at the moment we're really sort of sitting, bouncing around this 72 mark. That's probably fair value. Low 70s has always been a good level for Australia as a commodity exporter, exporting commodities in US dollars, be that iron ore, coal, wheat, sort of thing, as our major export categories. So yeah, I can't see I can't see us going to 80 cents or anything short term. Let's put it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. The other thing, I guess, that's been on our radar is specialty coffee as well has been heavily trending within the company. We've had sort of lots of interesting qualities arrive from Burundi. We've got Peruvian coming. I know you've been speaking to Camilla Mezzaralda on microlots from Colombia and preparing those. We've been chatting to Getty Bukele, you and I, and Toby and I have been talking to the Kenyan team about sort of confirming our Kenyan lots. There's been lots going on in that space too.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of quality, it's a really exciting time of the year as we start off the year with a lot of countries in harvest. Similarly, Costa Rica and Mexico and Honduras, we're going to start to see some really interesting lots as we've had in the past from those countries as well. And so far, I think kudos to all the farmers out there, because the lots that we've been cupping have been great and continually to be great in line with last year coffees that we've cupped.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great year ahead for specialty coffee. I think it's really our position in the industry to keep help championing those producers that really do an amazing job, and the more we can do our best to get them to the consumers here as fast as possible so they can be in their best condition, that's really the balls that we're juggling at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's an interesting time of year because we've got obviously all of those central origins, processing and shipping, but it's also, often a time of year where you don't necessarily have a huge amount of coffee available because most of it's, sold this time. But we are very lucky to have those Peruvian coffees, which are literally just landing, the Burundians, which have just, they landed in December. I know we've got microlots from Capricornia, Luis, and also bourbon and microlots in the Espírito Santo competition. We've got lots on offer. So yeah, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I think it's that time of year to really look at what can I do to surprise and delight my my customers or my consumers, and I think that there's a real great lot of options within your picks, Ollie, through the quality and the team as well.
Yeah, definitely. And again, reminder to all of those listening, if you are wanting something special, if you are talking to your producers or wants to support you in that space, you just need to reach out to us and we can help you get something bespoke or specific. But if you don't do that within the next 3 weeks, I think that window is going to close pretty quick.
Yeah, I think it's sort of like plan your winter catalog now for us to help deliver those coffees with you. Yeah. And the more we can be working in partnership with a roaster and a producer, I think amazing things can happen.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess that sort of brings us on this forward planning, logistics and shipping. We're still seeing the same challenges, although things are starting to improve a little. Do we feel shipping times are sort of, I'm not going to say coming back to normal, but at least, we're seeing more containers available. Is that fair to say?
I think we see a little bit of a less volume just through that December period. If we look at shipments out of Brazil, it's less. Is that a result of more availability or other things? It's really hard to fathom. I think we've got to remember that at the end of this month, we have the Lunar New Year holiday, which is a big holiday for Asia that sort of shut down for a week. So I think that will inevitably have a little bit of delays and challenges built into it.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll probably start to see an idea if things are getting better, probably by Q2.
Yeah.
When we're looking for bookings and availability. I think the key is just organized and be forward, and we're trying to do that with all our origin partners as much as possible. Again, if we see scary things like the caseloads in Costa Rica are going up again, so we need to be forward planning with our partners there, Alejo, Camilo, and the other teams and farms that we work with. And I think it's all about planning. It's probably not going to go right, but if we can get it as early as possible, it's going to be as close as possible to where we need it. And I think that's probably a rhetoric that people should relate to their own business in ordering and planning as well. Sort of as a philosopher I read once said, plan for the worst, hope for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't go wrong there. And on that note, Steve, thank you for that. I think we've covered quite a bit today. I look forward to our podcasts. I look forward to what happens in the year ahead. There's lots of exciting stuff, and thank you very much for joining.
Thank you, Ollie. And if you all do miss us, happy to please petition our YouTube channel, and Ollie and I will be back on to do a few more videos throughout this year, I'm sure, anyway. So take care, everyone. All the best for 2022, and may luck be on your side.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Steve. And yes, thanks to all of you that have participated and been part of this experience. We've really enjoyed doing it, and it's been wonderful. All the best. Thank you.